Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Beach Secrets. Today, we have a really cool guest. He's an ex-indoor professional player. He's a AVP finalist. He's a four-time AVP third place. He's a commentator. You probably heard him on a lot of matches. He's a coach of top players in the United States. He's currently a part of US Volleyball as a staff for men's beach volleyball program. He's an amazing competitor. Kyle Fran, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Man, there's so many things that I just named, and I think something that people need to know about you is variety of things that you do. For me, that's impressive. It just shows, first of all, how skillful you are, how open-minded you are to learn these things, and being able to be that good in these aspects is impressive.
I appreciate it.
So, I want people to hear it. So let's start from beginning. Little Kyle.
Sure.
How did little Kyle get in
Yeah.
volleyball, and how did that get you slowly to here? So.
Yeah, little Kyle. So little Kyle with my 2-year older sister, Heather, would have to go to my parents' 6-on-6 co-ed Wednesday nights. When they were younger, they used to play with their friends. And so we were young, 6, 7 years old. And so we had to go. We couldn't stay home. So we used to go, they played 6-on-6 sand in a park somewhere with some of their friends. And they played for years, 5, 7 years, something like that. And so we were kind of around it all the time. And then once my sister got a little bit older, like I said, she was 2 years older, she started playing club volleyball with girls. And so for me, as the younger brother, I was traveling everywhere with her to all of her club tournaments here in Orlando, there, this. I had to go because I was a little brother. And so I started taking a bit of liking into volleyball early. And then once I got to be 15, I played 16s club. There wasn't anything under that in South Florida.
Wow.
There was no 12s, there was no 13s or 14s or anything like that, at least nearby, because back in 2003, 2005, there just wasn't a lot of men's volleyball. A little different in Florida than it is in California. Now you got 12-year-olds and they're playing all the time. And so when I was younger, I played a lot of girls volleyball. I went to a lot of my sister's practices. I went to their club, high school. I was a manager for my high school girls teams for 4 years. But the main reason I did it is so I could practice with the girls. And so their coach loved having me in the gym because I was a big body. I was physical, and so they're like, hey, we're going to play athletes like Kyle, but top tier women's athletes. And for me, I just wanted to be in the gym. I just wanted to touch the ball. I didn't care who it was with. And I really credit a lot of my ball control and passing to playing with the girls when I was younger. It was super beneficial because when I got into college to play as a freshman at Long Beach State, I started a bunch my freshman year, and I was in 02 with Paul Lottman, who was our outside hitter #1, who was National Player of the Year. I could pass the ball. And so I didn't need to get set a lot of balls. My job was to pass, dig balls, and don't make mistakes. So that was my role going into college. But my parents were into it when I was young, and then just kind of kept the ball rolling. And credit to my sister who played. She played college ball as well, but I went to a lot of her practices, and that really kind of got me the itch.
Wow, that actually translates so close to my story.
Okay.
My both parents played.
Yeah.
And they have indoor club for girls.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, I was just stuck there because they had to work. After work, there was their second job, so I would just be there.
Yes.
So I would watch them. I would slowly play with them. Both of my sisters played there, so it's almost the same story. So I slowly learned technique by playing with girls, traveling everywhere with girls. I would travel with 30 girls and me.
Yep.
And yeah, that translates so close to how we started. But okay, so that was the start, and then you mentioned you went to Long Beach. So currently, if not the strongest men's beach volleyball program in the last couple of years. So how was that? And when you were there, was your goal clear? I want to be a pro indoor player, or how did that translate further?
So coming out of Florida, I was a bit of a no-name. I remember making binders of newspaper clippings and CDs and putting videotape and sending them out to all the colleges that I wanted to attend, because we didn't have a lot of social media. There wasn't a lot of YouTube and stuff like that. So you really had to put in some extra work. I made the USA youth team when I was younger, and that really put my name on a list, and I got more attention of coaches. And when Long Beach reached out, I was super interested. Went on my recruiting trip. It was affordable. It was in California. I knew I needed to get out of Florida. There was no college volleyball there. But it was a bit of a culture shock to me. A lot of these kids, we had 10 freshmen in my incoming class. I was one of 10. And all these guys, most of them were from California and had been playing, at the top level in club. And where I was, playing not open sometimes in my club years, just playing in the club level. And these guys were like very experienced, super physical California athletes. And so I was a bit of a culture shock when I first went to Long Beach State. I remember halfway through the season, Alan Knipe was there, who just recently retired from Long Beach State. I wanted to quit because I was stressed.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't sleeping. I was like having like anxiety attacks, just the amount of stress of practice, the pressure, and because I was playing a little bit, there was just so much pressure on me that I felt I didn't know how to handle it. Because coming from Florida, I was the best player for the most part on my teams, and then so when I come here, I'm just this little guy in this big pond of really quality players, and so it took me a minute to kind of find my groove. And then once I did, started to get some confidence, started to feel better, and I knew I wanted to stay. And once past freshman year, I knew that I wanted to play pro. I wanted to give it a shot. I wasn't a standout at Long Beach State. I was in and out of the lineup for the rest of the 4 years. We made the playoffs. We were really good my first year. We took third in the NCAAs in the Final Four. I played for a little bit to start the year, and then I kind of fell off, had an injury. And then my final year, we made the playoffs of MPSF. And so that was kind of it, but the program has vaulted to the top recently, which has been really great. So it's really proud. I'm really proud walking around representing Long Beach State. They've done a phenomenal job. Nick McCrae, McKay Smith, all those coaches, Alan Knipe being there. But yeah, after I got done playing college, I had so many friends also looking to go and play pro. And so I went on the tour to go and try and get picked up because I wasn't a top standout player, so I didn't really get many offers leaving college. And so I went on a tour for 2 weeks in Europe to try and get picked up. We'd go to Italy, you bounce around. We went to Slovenia to just play in front of some coaches and see if you can get picked up.
Yeah.
I had not gotten picked up. I was the night before my flight back to Florida, having drinks with a buddy of mine, getting pretty wasted, and I got a text from our agent saying, "Hey, do you want to go to Germany? There's a tryout." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, great." He's like, "Okay, just like don't get on your flight tomorrow and take a train to Germany." And so I took a train to Germany. It was like 10 hours because I was in Italy. It was like a crazy long day. I had 2 giant suitcases with me because for those 2 weeks you pack like you're going to play for 8 months.
Oh, wow.
And so you got to have all your stuff with you. And so I remember never having been to Europe, trying to navigate multiple trains to get to this small town in Hildesheim, Gießen, who are a top level German team now. They were second division when I was there. But I tried out for a week. I got the job. And that kind of set me up for the next 5 years where I played. It was my first year in Germany, then I spent 2 years in Sweden, and then I spent 2 years in Switzerland, my last 2 years of Europe.
Wow, that's awesome.
But I was very close to not playing pro at all, like literally hours away from getting on my flight, super drunk, got the text, and was like, all right, let's do it. And I ended up getting the job.
For me, that's exactly what this podcast is about, is like hearing not only like how we're winning and all the good stuff, but also hearing like the struggles. I love hearing those tough stories, how people made it through.
Yeah.
Because almost every single player, when you start talking to them, they have some of those moments. Like, it's not just rainbows, sunshine and rainbows. It's always like a little bit of some challenges that we had to go through, that we have to, like believe that, there's a better, better chance, that there's something for us instead of giving up. And that's really cool. Like that one chance you took, right? Instead of being like, okay, I'm going home.
Yeah.
That chance gave you like 5 more years of pro indoor, which is awesome. So when you were playing pro indoor, obviously like it was the experience that you wanted to have. Did it change your mind on like, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my career? So you decided to come back, or what? How did you end up coming back and shifting gears?
So I knew I had a ceiling playing indoor. I wasn't the biggest jumper. I wasn't 6'8". I was an outside hitter, and so my goal was to milk the experience of playing professional, living overseas, having my eyes open to the world. It was a whole different perspective. I mean, you're familiar, you're from Europe. Coming from America, not having left the country prior to being 18 or 22 years old, and then seeing this whole other world, and it was like, oh my gosh, like, we're, not just America, there's so much more out there, and having teammates from foreign and have a coach. My first year was Russian, spoke German only, no English, and so the whole time I'm just sitting there with my other teammates as he translates for the season, and it was just like such a culture shock to me, but I loved it. And I loved playing volleyball. I loved going to practice. I loved getting better. And so I knew I was a solid, all-around, really good volleyball player. And I knew I wasn't national team quality, but I could play for a bit and see where it took me. And so my goal while playing overseas was to get as much out of it, because I knew I couldn't come back. I knew once I was out there and I decided, okay, I'm done for the year, I need a break. No, there's no coming back. You need to stay in it. And so had a good time in Germany, got a job in Sweden from some couple friends that were playing there, stuck there for 2 years, small town, like one traffic light town, an hour from Stockholm, middle of frozen tundra. We had 7-hour drives to matches. I mean, one time we took an 8-hour drive to a match. We lost in 3, 45-minute match, got back in the car, 8 hours, drove home. It was the absolute worst. But a lot of good people in Sweden, really friendly people. And then Switzerland was a real big step up for me. We played CEV, so we played kind of Champions League with the middle tier.
That's awesome.
We got to travel around, not only in Switzerland, we played in the Netherlands, we played in Turkey, we played all these other countries because we had a much better talented, much better funded, more professional team. And so I got to do 2 years of that, which was really, really fun to kind of end my career. Between years 4 and 5, I had a minor knee surgery, a little meniscus tear, a little cleanup. Came back, felt really good, but my ankles were hurting, my knees were hurting, my shoulders were hurting. And so in between years 4 and 5, I kind of knew I had an end, a timetable a little bit. But what was great, that 5th year, we ended up winning the Swiss Cup. I got MVP of that match, which was really fun. I came off the bench in that match. We ended up winning the match. Was one of the highlights of my indoor career. My parents got to come out late in that season to catch a couple indoor matches of mine as well, and we traveled a little bit. And so I knew, and that year going in, I kind of like had told my team, like, oh, this is like kind of my last year. And so the managers were super great of like kind of ending the season as like a retirement, as like a thank you. And so I knew my body was like, hey, it's time for something different. And I wanted to go back to school to get my master's. I knew with my volleyball knowledge, I could get a coaching job as a grad assistant somewhere. I wanted to be in California, growing up in Florida. I'd been in California for college, and I loved it here. Yeah. And as you know, it's also a pretty good place to be. And so I knew I wanted to come back. And so I was looking for graduate assistant programs. Long Beach State didn't offer that for their men. And so I had to go somewhere else. That would have been my first choice. I would love to go back to my school, work with the guys. Ended up going to Concordia University, where I spent 2 years as a grad assistant there. Absolutely loved it. I was fresh off a pro. I was really confident in my skills. I was really helping the guys. We had a really good run in NCAAs. And I got my MBA, my Master's in Business Administration there for 2 years. And then I started playing, I was always playing beach in between seasons of indoor, but indoor was the focus. So I could never commit to AVP, generating points, maintaining anything, because I was in Europe for 8 months. I'd come home to Florida for 2 weeks, see my family. I'd spend my summers in California. So I was here for 3 months, and then I'd leave again. I'd be playing beach all the time while I was here, and I always loved playing beach, growing up playing some beach as well, but I could never commit the time it needed to do. And so once I got back and I became a grad assistant, at Concordia is when I started playing with Miles Mungo Tutia. And so that is when we were like, hey, let's really push, let's really see what we can do. And we qualified for a couple events, like 3 our first year together, which was like a really big deal for us. And then, just kind of kept playing beach after graduating from Concordia. I had a really good time there and started doing some part-time work as well. Once I got done with that, trying to make the beach dream, work. As you know, it's not easy, and you have to have multiple jobs. And so that was the start. I finished up the indoor career, which was amazing, and it absolutely changed my perspective on life and how I operate, and being able to mingle and learn from different cultures and different people. I have really good friends all over the world from playing indoor volleyball.
I want to take a quick moment to share something personal. As a beach volleyball player, my body goes through a lot. Between the disc hernia and the shoulder tear, there are mornings when I seriously question if I'll be able to play. But that's when Polar Gold comes in. The cream and patches give me the relief I need so I can step on the court pain-free and focus only on the game. Even my mom steals it from me because she loves it as much as I do. Pole gold has become a part of my routine and I couldn't compete without it.
Wow, that's if we put a pin here where you are on the timeline, it's already so many experiences, and you already build yourself in so many different aspects. Obviously, if we put a pin where you are, you already have a bachelor and a master degree, which is huge. It's in business, right?
Yeah, in business.
Which is awesome. So you're, let's say, secured that if everything fails in sport, you have something to rely on and base your life for. But also, amazing experience. I think one of the strongest experience a person can get is move to other country without anyone. Yeah. You just go and you're like, I'm gonna figure it out. And you need to meet new people. You need to settle in a new environment, different routines, and a different culture. And I think like that opens eyes a lot. And then you start realizing that what you have is amazing, but also like that, sometimes like, let's say I have it in my country, people complain about our country, but then I went out and I'm like, hey, like our country is actually awesome. Like when you hear like other countries, like small countries, some countries close to here where you can fly. Like I have friends who told me their childhood and I'm like, oh my goodness, like my country was awesome.
Right.
So, like I think learning more about different cultures makes you appreciate what you have, and then you can also kind of leverage and learn more, right? To respect other people as well.
Without a doubt. It's one thing to go on a vacation for 2 weeks in a country. It's another thing to go and live there for a year, going to multiple different grocery stores and mingling and trying to figure out food and translating and learning all these different things.
If there's a way to like, instead of go and book hotel, book people's house and live with them, I swear I would keep doing that. Cool. Because like if I could go to Thailand or somewhere where I could stay with people and just see how they live, would be amazing. And different places in the world, like China too. Like I don't know, like I mean I'm from Europe, so I know how it is there. But even here when I moved, like just seeing how people live in routines is, it's eye opening.
It is. And when I went back to coach at Concordia, we had some athletes who were really talented, could play at the pro level. I implored them. I said, hey, go play. Like a job back here will be here when you're done. But this opportunity to play pro will not be here because pro teams don't want to see you take years off. They want to see your video. They want you to come fresh out of college. And they know we have a lot of talent here. And so I tell my guys, if they were opportunity, go freaking play. Even if it's for a couple €100 a month, it doesn't matter because the experience that you get is literally life-changing. And so I owe a lot to volleyball, especially that time in Europe. It really was awesome.
I like what you said, like I owe a lot to volleyball. Like I hear a lot of times, like in beach volleyball, people say like, there's no money.
Right.
Honestly, there's no money. No. But I got so much. Like I met Marine. I got to move to US. I got to get my green card. I got to travel the world. All of these things because of beach volleyball. I could not afford it from my country. Like people cannot replicate what I did because it's way too expensive. But like somehow, this beach volleyball, world, I don't know, it like helps you. Like people help you. You meet different people. You find different paths. You earn a little bit of money that you reinvest. And somehow when you turn back, you're like, I have this amazing experience that I got that is way more worth than like money. Like if you had money, you could not buy this experience.
Right.
And for me, that's awesome. So now when I started talking about beach volleyball, like we put a pin right after the indoor. So you start playing beach. What year was it?
Yeah, that was 2017.
Because I think I played you 2018 with Piotr. And somebody said like, oh, like, Kyle he's an indoor player. I think you play with TJ Jerko. And it was in Florida.
Yeah, in Florida.
And I was like, oh, this indoor guy. And then I didn't see you for a little bit. And all of a sudden you're like winning AVP, like matches and you're like killing it. And I'm like, oh, wow. Like, I was stuck in Florida for a couple of years. So when I moved here, you were already established and you had, as I mentioned, like 4 third places, 1 final. So how did that progress go? I kind of heard, I don't know if this is true, but I heard that you were like trying to get yourself to be exposed more, kind of what you were talking about women's volleyball, indoor, that you were going and shagging balls and helping people and just, like opening your ears to like hear more.
Yes.
So you like gain a lot of knowledge by, just putting yourself out there and offering like anything that people need just to be around good volleyball players.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. I was volunteering wherever I could. I got a big opportunity to volunteer with Tyler Hildebrand, who was the women's and men's national team coach at the time, and they were running practices up here, and I just volunteered to shag balls because I knew if I was around these top athletes, I could hear and learn and listen to the dialogue, listen to the feedback that Tyler was giving these players and things like that, and just get familiar with these players because I think a lot of the challenges that come with beach volleyball is like getting inside. So you can get practices with the good players, and so they're not gonna call you to practice if they don't know who you are. And so I volunteered probably for about 2 years, where I was driving up from Orange County here for back-to-back practices with the girls and the guys. So it was like 4 hours on the sand, just shagging balls, which ended up being sometimes. Chase was playing with Casey Patterson at the time, and Casey missed some practices because of kids and life, and so I got to fill in as a sub with Chase a lot of times. And I played well in those practices, and it was really cool. I think I earned some respect of the players that were there, and it's kind of come full circle because now I'm helping out with the men's national team, and Chase is a player. I'm an assistant coach, and I was telling Chase, and Casey is an assistant coach, and I was telling him the other day that I used to sub for Casey with you and used to play back in the day because I was volunteering. It was really wild, that little full circle moment the other day that I had with Casey and Chase in the gym. But I just wanted to be around it. I knew I was late to the game. That was my big thing coming back from indoor. I was really well versed in indoor. But in terms of the beach volleyball technicalities, the intricacies of beach volleyball and the skills and the game planning, it was foreign to me because I had never had a coach. I'd always done it on my own. I played for fun. I was good, but I wasn't like, we move here because of this. We do this because of that. And I owe a lot of credit to Corey Glaive, who's a local guy. His son I coached at Concordia. He used to be a national team coach back in the day. And he coached Miles and I a bunch. That one of those first years, second years, we would come up and he offered to do it for free because I was coaching his son. And I really liked his kid, Logan. But I owe a lot to Corey, who was one of my first coaches who taught me a lot about beach volleyball. But then I started living with April, got really close with April Ross, and I would go, April, you need help today? Like, you need help at your practice? I would just go shag, help Jen Kessie, their coach, or Angie, just be a body. You need someone to play defense? Like, just to be around the best so I could slowly take little pieces of information and nuggets of information because I loved it. And I didn't need to get paid or anything like that. I just wanted to be around because I knew it would help my game because in my mind I was behind. And so I had to figure out a way to bridge that gap from being that indoor player to then, okay, how do I become this skilled beach volleyball player? And the only way to do that is to put yourself around, in my opinion, the best. Also play a lot of tournaments, lose a bunch, play as much as you could. And that's what I was. I just loved to play. So I just wanted to play as much as I could. So yes, volunteered as much as I could.
That's amazing. And I just love your approach. I think the decisions you were making so far in the timeline are just, that's how people should make, like taking chances, taking risk, and just, I think, taking initiative where, let's say here, you knew what you wanted and you wanted to be a beach volleyball player, and you're taking any initiative you can to succeed. And for me, that makes the difference between players and great players. Like, you need to take initiative. No one's gonna pull you and be like, hey, you should go to practice, you should go to gym, like you need to do this in order to succeed. People are gonna try. Like, there's coaches who push you, but as soon as that coach leaves, you're out, on your own. And in this sport, if you don't have that hunger and that I'm gonna do anything to succeed, and if there's nothing, I'm gonna find it. Like, I'm just gonna be somewhere that I can keep learning, hearing, getting touches, doesn't matter. If there's no one to play with, go play with 3 players that are way worse than you, but at least you can play, so you get to work on something. Much better than not playing and saying, there's no one good here. So I love how you were taking those initiatives.
Yeah, and you kind of said it before, beach volleyball, I think, teaches you to be very resourceful. and very many aspects of life. And because, to have coaches, to have these luxuries, you just don't have early on in your beach career. We don't have the funding, we don't have the money to be able to do that. And so you have to find ways, but that resourcefulness teaches you to be smart and efficient in certain matters and build relationships and relationship-ing. And that was part of the reason why I was volunteering, so I could relationship. When Reed Pretty was there and he was like, hey, I'll never forget, I was volunteering, I'm just this kid, I don't know Reed that well, and hello, here and there. And he's like, hey, can you just watch my footwork on my serve here and just see what it looks like? And I'm like, sure, I can do whatever you want, But he purposefully asked me that to make me feel like I'm having an impact on what he's doing and being included in practice, which empowered me, which was really cool. And it might have been just something really small, but I'll never forget him asking me that. And so, like you said, just resourcefulness, finding ways to get better, because you can't just do it alone in our sport.
And that's something I'm learning throughout the years is I come from a country that we don't have money. And, like year by year, obviously, like being in US, like I have more work and I'm capable of affording things that I could not, which is coaching, for example. And every year, like I get a slightly higher amount of coaching. And this year I'm taking like twice a week. And I'm telling Marine, like this makes huge difference. Like I grew up, we had 1 year a Serbian coach, but again, that Serbian coach was a Serbian player. Like he wasn't someone who was like out there with medals and, someone like with a full experience. But being able to like have someone next to you that you trust, that can keep like telling you what to do, watching your footwork on approach, when you toss a ball, create a plan, toss you the ball so you get more reps, and just having that person that you can talk to, that might be even like one of the most important things right now for me. Just like, hey, I struggle with this. I need to tell someone, like I'm literally losing my mind. I'm like, I struggle with this, help me. I don't know what's the solution because I've been in my head for so long that like I don't have a solution because I'm struggling. So I need like someone to help. And I think your approach was probably better than mine. I was trying to like learn, by playing a lot, and I was using a lot of conversations. So I asked people, like how you would talk, like you put yourself around those people that you can ask them, right? Because you become friends or, or as close as you can be as, maybe not a friend, but still like, you guys know each other. So it gives you opportunity to ask them questions. I was doing that too. I was going to other players on the world tour, other coaches, but I was never coach. I think you being like volunteering and being around people nonstop gave you that leverage to what you said, I'm late to the game, to like shoot over people who don't have coaches because all of a sudden you had more knowledge than people who are not coached.
Yes.
So I think that gave you a good base. And then, I mean, the timeline looks in next couple of years, right? From when you started playing beach, in next couple of years, you already had results, right?
Yes, yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I think being an athlete prior to getting to the beach world, I knew my body was really in tune with my body. And so, like we said, when it comes to beach volleyball, you don't get a lot of coaching, you don't get that other person watching all the time. And so I was able to take some of those notes, kind of self-coach with the feedback that I was hearing from Hildebrand and Jake Gibb and all these other players and Reed and who were there, and kind of the cues, and start implementing in my own game because we didn't have a coach a lot. And so it was like, okay, like they're working on this, like I can do this, like what do my arms feel like? Okay, I can do this. And of course, when you do have someone there looking at, then you can really say, okay, what's it look like? And you can tweak it in that sense. But yeah, those first 2 years I was playing with Miles, it was just, in my mind, I wanted to be a defender because I could dig the ball indoor. I was an excellent ball control player. But when I got out to the beach, it was kind of supply and demand. And I hadn't established myself as a phenomenal defender or anything like that. So there wasn't a lot of blockers either out there. And so I was just like, I just want to play. And Miles was a really good ball control player who was speedy and fast and was really athletic. And so we were like, let's just be a really good ball control team and just move the ball around quickly and see if we can spread big blockers out and use our speed and quickness. And so that's what we did for 2 years, which was really great. Then I was like, okay, I really want to try playing defense. And then I started playing with Duncan Buttinger, Chase's brother. We did a full year together, which was super fun. We had a couple top 10 finishes, which was great. Never really got to that next level But it was a big learning experience for me being a defender because, in my opinion, defense is a lot harder than blocking. You have a lot more responsibility. You're very familiar with the defense world. You're an excellent defender. And there was a lot for me to learn early on during that year and just trying to figure out how to like get it done. And luckily I had seen a lot of the top players, so I had some insight of what players like to do and start tweaking things, but it just doesn't happen in 1 year. It doesn't happen in 2 years, playing defense at the highest level because everyone's so dang good.
Yeah.
And so it took a minute. And then again, I bounced around with a couple different blockers. I played with Joyner for a little bit and, just never really got to that next level or found the partner. And then I was looking for a partner and Tim Brewster was looking for a partner and we were both talking to Lev.
I heard that. Lev told me.
Yeah. He, and so I played 1 or 2 terms with Lev. We didn't really have the results. The chemistry wasn't quite there. And I'm like, okay, I want to be a defender, but again, I want to have a good volleyball partner as well. And Tim was like, I don't know if I want to play with Lev. Would you want to go play with me? And Tim had asked me many times before to play with him internationally because he was playing all these international tournaments. And I was like, no, I'm a defender. I don't want to block for you. Go do your thing. I appreciate it. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And so when we got together, it took us a second to find our groove. We didn't play that great in some of the early tournaments, but then we started figuring out, okay, we have great ball control.
Really good ball
control. We're super smart. We're super scrappy. Nothing hits the ground. We're not the biggest team, but we're going to outsmart. We're going to be better. And so it's just started to get better and better. And we got a couple good wins and a couple good finishes. And it was like, oh my God, I've never made a Sunday before. I never made a quarterfinals at an AVP.
That's awesome.
And so having those feelings was really special. And then we got to do a couple international events together as well and travel around the world. And really he was such a veteran at the time. Being as young as he was, 23, he had way more experience internationally beach volleyball than I had, even in just beach volleyball in general. And so he was super dialed. And so I actually learned a lot from Tim early on in terms of game plan and format and things like that against some of these top teams and how to travel and play these international events because he was such a pro. And so it was a really a good combination. And obviously we fell in love and that was a whole other story. But we had an amazing time playing together and it just ended up being a really awesome partnership.
Quick pause to thank our sponsors, Bravo Beach. The team behind Bravo Beach are the owners of the Spike and Go tournaments in Southern California, and they've taken the next step by launching a supplement brand built specifically to give back to the sport. A portion of every purchase is reinvested in supporting players in the United States with the long-term goal of funding as many athletes as possible and helping beach volleyball continue to grow. They also produce clean, transparent supplements, no filters, no mystery blends, all third-party tested. If you want to support your own wellness while directly supporting beach volleyball, visit bravobeach.shop and use the code BEACHSECRETS20 for 20% off. Thanks to Bravo Beach for supporting this podcast and the beach volleyball community. Now, back to the episode.
Yeah.
On the court.
And I think with your background being a pro indoor player, you learn how to be a professional. And
Definitely.
then Tim is a huge professional. So sometimes maybe on paper when you look, there's better partners, but when you find that professionalism and a structure, let's say if you can have a coach and you show up every day and you learn from the losses, instead of we just lost and we're mad.
Yes.
Instead of that, learning from the losses and building the team. Hey, we lost because of this, let's improve that. You slowly put brick by brick and that team becomes way stronger because 2 professionals with a good mindset of how can we grow can go way further than just 2 top athletes. And I see a lot of that in US where, especially in a qualifier main draw level, kind of on the line, everyone's looking, how can I sneak in the main draw? But at the end, you're just 2 good athletes that don't play together.
Right.
I was searching for someone to commit, to play. I need someone to build up, and it's so hard to find commitment because everyone's so scared to be in the qualifiers. Yes. But at the end, finding someone, and I think that's lucky. Right, you were giving a chance to defense, but I say that's unlucky. You never got a partner that is that good of a blocker on that level, talking about Sunday, right, on the AVP, that you can play behind that and say okay, I'm not a good defender. Yes. But if you're always looking for blockers, as you said, supply and demand, but there's no blockers on that level, but there's defenders on that level, then you're you know what, I'm a blocker. I did it a year with Leela. I couldn't find a blocker. And I'm well, you know what, Brian was getting a baby and he got injured. And I was you know what, I can't find a good blocker that I can trust, that we can build up. But Lila pitched me really well. He said, man, I think you're like the best player I can play with. You know, I think we can do great. I want to get a coach. I want to be professional. And he bought me with that. I was like, he wants to be a professional? Like, that's what I want, you know?
Yes.
So we work hard together, and I'm not a blocker. I had some success until people figured it out, but it was still, I still got my best win against Taylor. It's like, it was still like really humbling experience to understand the team chemistry goes a long way,
yes.
right?
Yeah, no question. Yeah, you said it, right? And for Tim and I, the relief of knowing you had a commitment, hey, let's do this year together. As a beach player, you don't get that very often.
Yeah.
And so that was a huge relief. There was a level of professionalism that came with Tim, a level of focus, and a want and a desire to train and to get better, which was awesome. And then our second year, we hired Leandro to be our full-time coach. He was also working with Kame and Try at the time. And that was a total game changer for us. Yeah, we had to spend some extra money. I was working another job and just trying to pay for that. But a total game changer in the technicality, and we could work on things, and we had our best finishes that year with Leandro, just having someone in our box there every day, tweaking our game. I learned so many different ways to block, different ways to serve, and how to move around, and it was like eye-opening for me. But yeah, having the right partner doesn't always mean, oh, this guy's got more points, he's big, we're gonna be a great fit. It's not always the case.
Yep.
Sometimes just having that good chemistry is so important. Clear communication on the court, and two players who are on the same page, I think can bring you even more wins than, like you said, on paper. Well, on paper, this team looks like it would be great. Well, okay, let's see how they do. Like, oh, well, maybe it's not the perfect match, or the chemistry.
We saw it many times. I mean, I think
there.
one of the best examples when I talked to Phil was Phil and Rosie. Mm-hmm. Everybody expected them to be insane, but it just, for some reason, like the mindset that they both had was not the matching mindset, you know?
Yeah.
So again, we're moving the timeline, but now you have so much experience. You've been an indoor player, beach player, defender, blocker. Mm-hmm. You've been around top players volunteering. You gain so much knowledge, like overall knowledge, to understand both sports, all the positions and all the aspects. And then you slowly transition to coaching.
Yep.
Was that because all of that knowledge you saw, like, hey, I can use this, and that's my path? You mentioned kind of earlier that you were considering yourself to be a coach, like obviously like grad assistant before.
Right.
Like, how did you make that transition? How did you feel that it's time to move? Like, was it like a huge opportunity that you had to cut your playing career? Or were you already ready and feeling like it's time, you know? Because for a professional athlete like, you know, yourself, especially playing indoor and then beach, it's not that easy to stop playing. Like, we get that excitement when we're on the court that you can't get anywhere else. And even as a coach, you still, like, it's not the same when you're on the court. So how did you, like, feel that the right moment came, you know, to make that transition?
Yeah, so when I went back to school, the coaching job was to get school paid for. And when I got done, I could have gone back to school and got my master's of coaching and athletic administration, which a lot of players did that went through Concordia. But my initial goal was to not coach. My initial goal was to use volleyball and my knowledge of volleyball to get school paid for. But I wanted to do a business degree because I knew coaching would be there if I wanted it to be there. In my mind, I didn't necessarily want to be a coach. Whether it was indoor or beach, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. When I got done with school, like I said, I got my business degree that would allow me to coach at a D1 level at the highest level because I have a master's, or get something totally non-related to volleyball with my business degree. And when I got done with my coaching, my 2 years master program, I got a job at a startup at a cannabis company where I worked for 4 years, and we built a facility from ground up, and I wore many hats. I did all of our licensing with the state. I did all of our books. I did all of our package design. I handled organization and the inventory. Like, I did so many different things because we were such a small team, and I learned so much about running a business and doing all that stuff. And so that was kind of my side gig. And in my mind, I wanted to start my own business at some point. It was what my goal was. And then during that whole process, I'm playing beach, I'm getting better. We ended up going bankrupt in our cannabis business, which was a real dagger, lost a lot of money there, but a good learning lesson. But that job allowed me the flexibility to compete and travel because we were so small. My boss was like, hey, go ahead, I'll handle this, I'll handle that. Great. If I had a full 9 to 5 every day, there's no way I could go internationally and go compete with Tim with what I was doing. And then enter, so the coaching stuff, I was maybe doing a touch of coaching in the middle of some of this stuff, doing maybe a few privates, nothing really seriously. My focus wasn't like, oh, I really want to be a college beach coach or indoor coach. Indoor was kind of already starting to be on the back burner of the past because beach was now the focus for me. Then in 2019 in AVP Austin, I lost on the first day. Second day, I see Josh Glazebrook in the lobby with Rich Lamborn, and Josh is like, hey, would you want to come on the broadcast tomorrow with Dane and do one of the semifinals? And I'm like, sure, I would love to. I've never done a commentary job, I've never done it, but sure, I'd love to do it. And so I did that one broadcast with Dane. I had a good time. The next 2 years, anytime I lost at an AVP, I would go up to Josh and be like, hey, you want me to go on? I wasn't getting paid. I just wanted to go on because I enjoyed it. And there was usually only 3 broadcasters. It was Dane, Rich, and maybe Cam, or Kevin and Dane and Cam. And they were doing everything all the time for like 3-4 days straight. And so they loved having someone in to relieve them for just a game or two or anything like that. So I was volunteering for 2 years every AVP. Hey, you need someone to come on? I'd love to come on. And so that started to pick up steam for me, and I really enjoyed doing that. And then when Volleyball World, Beach Volleyball World took over the Beach Pro Tour, formerly the World Tour, now the Beach Pro Tour in 21, they were looking for broadcasters. And Travis had gotten in there early with them, and they were like looking for any sort of commentators. And so he was like, hey, do you want to do this? I'm like, absolutely. I'd been doing this already for 2 years, but just volunteering. And so finally, I got hired to do all this remote commentary work, and that started in 21. And I really liked it. And I would just pop on my computer at home. I was already watching a lot of these matches because I was trying to learn from the best in the world. And so now I'm starting to commentate the best in the world, seeing all these little intricacies, learning all this stuff. And then the real fork in the road became in 2024. AVP had these 3 big qualifiers to get into the league. And Tim and I were playing. I had been doing remote commentary for about 3 years for the World Tour, for the Beach Pro Tour. And Tim and I were committed to do that year in 2024. The CEO of Volleyball World offered me and Travis a contract for the fall to do 3 elite events in person because everything had been remote. And they're like, hey, we want people to be in person. We'd love it to be you and Travis. I'll never forget the CEO was like, we want you to be the face. And I'm like, what, me? Me, this little guy from Florida, you're crazy, you know? I'm like with the world. And so I was like, I really want to do this. The problem was it overlapped with AVP Chicago, which was one of the qualifiers. And without that finish, there was no chance for Tim and I to like get into the league. And so I had to make a decision. At that time, I was getting close to feeling like I was ready to move on a little bit. I was 35. Tim and I had done really well. But the blockers coming in were much bigger and more physical than me. On the international stage, yeah, we qualified for some challengers. We got a top 10, it was super great. But I had a ceiling. You know, I'm a 6'5" blocker, not the biggest jumper. And so my skills could only get me so far. So I saw the writing on the wall. It was like, okay, I got to do it. I got to experience, just like indoor. I squeezed as much as I could out of indoor. And that's what I wanted to do with beach. I wanted to squeeze as much as I could out of it. And I felt that I had just about done that when this new opportunity presented itself to me that I could not let go. Yeah. And so I said yes to doing this job. I told Tim, you need to get a partner for the second half of the year because I'm not your guy, because I'm going to go and do this and commit to this. And so that was kind of the start of one door closing, beach volleyball closing, the commentary opening up for me. Travis and I, we did those 3 events. The CEO of Volleyball World was super happy with us. We got a contract for the full year for 2025. And that was kind of how it started. And so the coaching aspect, in my mind, the commentary was a priority. It was a priority. And the coaching now has become, I don't want to say supplemental, but the commentary, it's not a a full 9 to 5 every day.
Yeah.
You know, I got an event every 2 weeks here. I got some remote stuff here. It's not all year.
Yeah, you're filling in the gap.
I'm filling the gap. And in my mind, what gives me more knowledge in the booth is being around the best players in the world, learning from the best, coaching the best when possible. It doesn't always work out that way, but it gives me more credibility on the mic, knowing, okay, like it's not just some random former pro indoor player. Well, he's also coaching a couple Olympians. You know, April and Alex asked me to coach them for the league. That was a huge boost for me in my early coaching career, getting to work with gold medalists, Olympic gold medalists. And then that following fall, Triborn and Evan Corey wanted me to coach them, Kylie DeBerg and Tony Rodriguez. So I coached them, both those teams, to start the year of last year. We got a gold medal with the girls, which was so awesome in China, which was like so crazy. But the commentary was still a big focus of mine, and the coaching was just worked perfectly hand in hand with that. Like you said, filling in the gaps, because the commentary wasn't paying all the bills. Love it, awesome. I don't want to let it go, but it's not paying all the bills. So the coaching kind of worked. I would be at some events. I'd coach the girls and the boys at the elite, and if they had lost early or if we had lost, I hopped in the booth and I did the commentary. And so I'd run into coaches and be like, so are you coaching this weekend? You commentating this weekend, you know, on the world tour? And I'm like, oh, actually I'm doing both this weekend. And so I started to get a relationship with coaches and players. And so again, that credibility, and just similar to early on, just trying to take in as much information and surrounding myself with everybody and relationshiping with players, with commentators, with coaches, all these different things. And so, yeah, the coaching, it's been really fun, and it's broadened my view of volleyball. And now we're here, and April asked me to be the assistant for the men's A1 team, as we have recently centralized our beach national team program with the men. Casey Patterson, our other assistant coach, as well. And so it's been really fun working with our men's team in this whole new format. As you're familiar, USA Beach Volleyball, always having their own coach per team. One coach, one team. USA giving them some funding. If you're a top 4 team, you get some funding for a coach, and that's it. You're doing your own thing. Now we're trying to catch up to the rest of the world. A lot of countries, Netherlands, Italy, France, running these sort of centralized training systems where they have 3 or 4 coaches working with 3 or 4 teams in the same facility every single day, grinding, iron sharpening iron kind of vibes. And so I'm so fortunate to be in the mix right now with them. And I'm coaching Chloe Lorene and Corinne Quiggle. So that's my one woman's main team. And then I'm just temporarily coaching with the men's national team until they hire a full-time staff.
Nice. That's a lot of...
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's a lot of information. What I like is, again, I use the pin right on your timeline. If we just look from the pin to now, what you just said, even that second part is just mind-blowing. Like, you're so successful in your career in like all these different aspects that you learn how to like use what you know so far, transfer it in the other bucket, and keep filling in and transferring. And now you're this like, I love the word expert. You're an expert in volleyball. I don't even know how else to say it. You're a player, a coach, a commentator. You're successful in all these, like, you win as a player, you won as a coach. You're the top commentator right now. You're the face of the beach volleyball, and you know a lot of people, and you gain respect in all these different aspects, which is really challenging, and it's impressive. And congrats to that. I love that story, and I love how open-minded you were through the whole path to like keep learning and like, you know, keep meeting people, learning, and increasing your own opportunities. And commentating, obviously, people probably heard you comment a lot. You and Travis are doing a lot, and I even like when you're together. So there's some communication. I believe that I find it really fun when the commentator knows a lot about players.
Yes.
So I think like since you recently stopped playing, you played against a lot of players. You know the tendencies. You know their stories. You're a friend with them because you know you played against them. You hang out on the camps, on the tournaments.
Yep.
So you know their personal stories. And now you're a coach, so you strategize against a lot of teams. So you know a lot on them when you comment. So I think like this coaching part and players part fill in really like for the commentating. but I also like commentating. You get to get paid, right? And talk, and at the same time watch a match that saves you time, because now you already watched that match. You notice something that you can later translate somewhere else, and it doesn't have to be like, let's say you're coaching women's, right? But even if you watch men, you can learn something and be like, oh wow, they keep doing this and it works. Maybe we should try it. And I just think like current position that you're doing is perfect mix. It's such a good mix on like, being like in a two different positions. So it's fun, right? You don't get, like bored with like, I keep doing this and, this is a stress of like, I need to succeed. We need to win. You're like relieved because you have two different positions. I mean, it's definitely stressful.
Of course.
But I think like that's such a fun thing that you're doing, and it's impressive. And on top of that, you took that responsibility on the US Volleyball to fill in again, to bring your knowledge. So you're not volunteering anymore. You're there to give your 1% on, I'm an expert and I want to share it now, instead of, I want to hear. You're giving your knowledge to others, which is amazing. And that's, as you said, it's amazing how it turned around.
Yeah, these practices that we're running literally were the same practices I was volunteering at back in 2017 and 2018. And so instead of being the volunteer listening, so now I am the assistant coach giving feedback to the players. And you said it, I've watched so much volleyball. I know many people have watched maybe more volleyball than me, just being at all these events, but it's so beneficial. Like you said, I'm coaching a team and then we lose and I'm hopping in the booth, commentating the team that just beat my girls, or whatever. So I'm super dialed in with that team. And so I think that helps add that layer to the fans who are listening and just enhance that experience. And that's why Beach Volleyball World is super supportive of me being a coach. When I was coaching Kylie and Tony in China, they were like, hey, can you sit over here so we can like pan you in between? And they're like, okay, who are you coaching? Like, okay, you gotta be able to coach. We'll tell Denise or Travis like to do that match, and you can go coach this game. They're so supportive because they amazing. Find it beneficial. And so it doesn't work if my boss is like, hey, you can't be coaching, you can't be doing this while you're commentating. But it only helps, I think, the role a lot. And men, women, whoever I'm watching, I'm learning, I'm seeing so many different tendencies and things that are happening, and how can I implement that with my girls? Or how can I level up our USA men? And that's like a super big part of my role now, and trying to figure out ways that we can play a little bit of catch up, because the rest of the world is a touch ahead of us right now in terms of youth and physicality and some of the system. We're seeing Sweden be the best in the world, and they're running the same system, and they're playing against each other every single day, and they just got first and second in world championships. And so how can I help our USA squad and get some of that knowledge and things that I'm seeing over and over again from the rest of the world, and bringing that into practices here? And so, yeah, it's a really awesome combination. And the burnout, like you said, I think it's great. I don't get super burnout with coaching or burnout with commentating, because I get that little crossover. I get to take a break. Boom, I'm super dialed in coaching. The competitive aspect is super intense. And then all of a sudden, I get to sit back. I get to coach, I get to commentate and just watch and be a fan at the same time, and just like highlight these awesome players and tell the stories of these awesome players, just like you're doing here. You want people on so you can tell the stories, because there's not a lot of platforms for us. And so part of our role, Travis, my role, Denise's role, is talking about how awesome our athletes are, and they're amazing stories, because there's so much of them, and they're all awesome quality people.
Something that I noticed is like, because you guys comment so much, you're up to date to top players, top teams. You usually stay until the end of the tournament, so you see what's a winning strategy, a winning technique. And I think I noticed even when you talk to Travis, he's really knowledgeable, even though he was super late to the game.
Yes.
But I think because you guys are watching so much volleyball, and you get to see almost every single tournament, and you get to see what's successful, you can be really good in process improvement. So like just noticing on like, okay, I understand you want to work on setting or whatever, on passing, but if we look to top athletes, like it's improvement in technology, right? like AI or whatever. It's like trying to avoid AI, but like that's currently the fastest way to create stuff, to implement stuff, to improve stuff. So same thing here, like, okay, you have this like way of coaching or you're practicing, but that's not what's currently like the most successful way. We see what's modern. We see what's the new way of coaching is this. The new way of playing is this. Jump set or whatever, speed offense or whatever, better passing, blocking angle. You know, top teams only block angle. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, you guys have so much like visual on it and so much experience that even if you're not coaching, you can give so much good feedback because you see what works.
Yeah.
It's like, I see that they keep doing this and it doesn't work. I don't get it why. Like, I hear Travis sometimes would say it on the video and I'm like, that's funny, you know? But like, it is like you guys became so knowledgeable about what's working, you know, what's fresh.
Yeah.
You know, like Miles Bertain said, what's hot, you know, currently jump setting is hot, he said.
Yeah.
He said, even if you're not a good player, if you know how to jump set, it's hot, people want you. So that's kind of reminds me of that, is like, I think that's awesome that you're able to be a part of US Volleyball because they need that extra modern, like what do we need to face now? Not how can we improve, but like, what is a successful way of playing right now?
Yeah.
Let's start from there and then build up.
Yeah, no question. And like the brain is beginning to get trained when I'm seeing plays happen. I know what's going to happen next. Like, oh, this is here. He's a little late. You know, my brain's already kind of processing. Well, he's a little late to this ball. It's going to open up only these options. If he goes high here, it's going to be more time for this defender. And so he's a second late. He's leaning this way. And so your commentary watching the game has leveled up my eye work in terms of watching film. And so when I do watch film with my teams, like, I think I have a really good eye of what tweaks we need to be here. If you want to open up this angle, let's create opportunities to give us all the range that we need to do. Well, we need to get a step close in here. We're going to adjust for the wind. And so there's so much that goes into it. As you know, in our sport, there's a million different things you can tweak. But yeah, I mean, being at World Champs, seeing the best teams in the world every single match, it was like a real special moment for me to be around. And I'd already kind of felt some of that being in some of these gold medal matches and calling these matches, interviewing the gold medalists. But like at World Champs, it was like this next level of intensity, and every team is dialed and everyone is so good. And the level was just that much better every single match. And so being able to see that, being able to feel that, like, kind of gets me excited about implementing some of that stuff and trying to help our teams, help my women's teams figure out the next step. We can get a point or two here. If we hit this poke back, it's like so effective. We run out of the middle in transition. Watch Sinya Tillman. She out of the middle and just opens this up, and it's just so difficult to defend. And so watching all the best, taking little things. This player likes to do this. This is really good. Let's put that in the back pocket. This player loves to do this. And all this information is accessible to everyone. I mean, you could watch all the film you want. All these matches are on VBTV. You could watch it all as well. But being there, constantly watching it, scouting, prepping for commentary, and then prepping to coach and scout against these teams. So it's just like, you know, so much volleyball. But I do love it. I do love it.
I have just, I think, 2 more questions.
Sure.
When you step into coaching, obviously now, after being to all these like top tournaments and you being winning medals, now you earn your respect. But as a player, when you were transitioning to coaching, you got a really challenging job of coaching April and coaching Tri and Came, and you know, like on the paper they were more successful players than you.
Yes.
So now you're taking responsibility of coaching someone who is already successful. How did you handle the pressure, and how did you like set up this relationship on like, I know I can contribute, you know, and I see these things, like, instead of being like frightened and be like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah, I would say it's still a work in progress. A lot of imposter syndrome early on, especially with April and Alex. As close as April and I were as friends, living with her and being close friends with her, there was still a lot of stress. But she trusted me, that she knew, hey, there's not a lot of coaches that would fill the role that we want right now, and I trust you, and me and Alex are all in with you. And I was like, oh shit, like I'm not ready. This was like my first team. This is my first real coaching job, and I got April and Alex, who fresh off their gold medal. They'd been out for a couple years, but it was a lot. It was a great learning experience because I felt like after I got done with them, I felt like I could coach anyone.
The pressure
was a little bit lighter, and they were hard, and they gave me good feedback and like, hey, we want you to be decisive, put us to work, be more vocal, and like I'm a pretty easygoing, non-confrontational, I'm a happy guy, and they're like, it's okay, like get on us, I'm like, okay. And so I learned a lot from working with them. That kind of set me up with a bit more confidence and not having such big imposter syndrome, and then going in to coach another Olympian, Tri Bourne and Evan Corey, in the men's field, which was, again, a super different and a challenging task as well, because you have super high achieving athletes that want to win and are feeling the pressure, and Tri was in the middle or on the way out of his career, and so he was trying to get the most out of his final year as well. And so just being open, asking the players for feedback was helpful on what I could do. Just being prepared, having a good game plan before every practice would help me sleep better at night. If I didn't have a great game plan, or I was like, I'll do my game plan in the morning for practice, I would be stressed at night, going to bed, thinking about what drills I need to run, how do I keep things flowing. And of course, sometimes you write this perfect practice plan and you go to practice and you get stuck on one thing and you're flowing into the next, and you're like, shit, I didn't do half the stuff I wrote down. But that's okay, because that's what was needed at the time. And so I think being super adaptable was really helpful. But yeah, there's, coaching at the USA right now, there's Olympians there, Chase and Miles. I wasn't an Olympian as a player. I was nowhere near the level that they were at. But having worked with so many different teams and being around the sport and watching the sport and talking with the best coaches in the world over and over again and figuring out these different skills and techniques, I feel confident that I have a really good eye for the game.
Yeah.
I have a good mind for the game. And so it's nice, and you have to build a relationship, to build that trust where you can give feedback and know that they're listening. And it's a constant work in progress, I would say, as a coach at this level. But having April and Alex early on was a real culture shock for me, but also gave me a ton of confidence knowing, okay, if I can help and coach these two gold medalists, then I can help and work with anybody. And so that was super helpful. And it doesn't always work that way. Usually you don't get that gold medal team as your first job, but that's just how it worked out for me. And so just trying to get a little bit better every day and learn from the players and see what works, because this might work for this guy and this might not work for this guy, in different ways of giving feedback and being open to all of it.
Yeah. And I don't think you were lucky to get that job or challenge with April. Obviously you had a good relationship with him, but I think it came from the whole story that you just told us of earning your respect and knowledge through everything you did.
Yes.
It starts from playing volleyball with girls when you were young to, taking volunteer positions, volunteer commentating, that led you to this. And I'm really inspired by your story. We have to wrap up.
Yep.
We've been talking for a little bit, but as I said at the beginning, we could talk for a long time, because your variety is impressive. And I love to hear, even the way you structured the story for us was just so fluent on how one thing poured to another. And I'm so motivated now to see, like, how can I keep using what I know to, like, keep adding to different, aspects of volleyball or life. And it's all a learning curve, and if we're intentional like you, and if we take the chances, and if we're courageous, I think there's a lot of opportunities for all of us. Before we end, I would like to give you a little present from our sponsors.
Okay, sweet.
Polar Gold Extracts, CBD cream.
Awesome.
If you travel a lot, which you do,
yes,
when you have a little back pain or neck pain, it's really helpful. They're with us from the day one.
Cool, thank you.
They're a big part of this podcast. And also Bravo Beach, new supplement station here in Hermosa Beach.
Cool.
They're really motivated to create a product that is good quality, but that gives back to the beach volleyball community. With every purchase, you get the Bravo Bucks. If you spend over $100, you get free entry fee to Hermosa Open. They organize Spike and Go tournaments,
Cool.
which is another opportunity for players here to play. And they have tournament, I think 1 or 2 tournaments every week.
Wow.
So since they started doing their stuff, there's so many opportunities here in Hermosa. And now they're spreading to like Long Beach and Santa Monica. It's impressive what they do for our sport.
Really cool.
So they're gonna give you a free product on their website.
Awesome.
So you can choose the product and whatever you need, many vitamins or electrolytes or
Sweet.
it's up to you. So big thank to the sponsors.
Yes, thank
and
you.
then to wrap it up, I really wish you success.
Thank you.
You're already really successful, but coaching is always like a challenge.
Yeah.
And I wish you success with your new team. I wish you success with the guys that you can contribute as much as you can, and maybe to wish you something is to hope to see you at the Olympics.
Yes.
Maybe as a commentator, maybe as a coach, maybe
Yeah.
as both.
Maybe it's both. We'll see.
That
But
would be
yes,
great.
that would be that's the goal. That's the goal.
Thank you so much
Thank you.
for coming to the show,
Yeah, I
and thanks for
appreciate it.
sharing your story.
Thanks, DJ. Super fun. Thank you.